Good morning, everyone. My name is Paola Bonafanti, and I work as a special content director at Italian company for IT Group. Coming from Italy, I was actually, first of all, I want to thank the FESPA team for giving me the opportunity to chair this quite interesting panel discussion here this morning. And yeah, coming from Italy, I was actually lucky enough to have the chance to closely follow the development of digital printing technology in the textile district in the Como area, northern Italy, where actually a number of traditional textile printers started the adoption of digital printing in their production processes as almost 20 years ago. And this has helped them to actually cope with the changes in the textile market demand. So in the following 40 minutes or so, we're going to try to talk about the benefits that digital printing technology has brought to the textile industry. So I will now ask our panelists to join us on the stage. So please, guys, if you can join us. We have actually quite an interesting panel here today, which includes representatives from both the technology provider side and the printer side.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Johan Spies. I work for Mimaki. I'm product manager for EMEA, meaning I'm responsible for all products that Mimaki delivers in the EMEA region. So from textile UV to sign graphics. And I work for Mimaki now for 4 years. Thank you.
And to Akiyoshi Ohni is, yeah.
So good afternoon. I'm Akiyoshi Ohni. In this industry, I am well known as the husband of Yoko Ono because my wife is Yoko. So I'm not so good singer like John Lennon, but still, please remember me. I have been working for my company, Konica Minolta, more than 30 years. This year it's 39th years. Out of that 39 years, I was involved in inkjet in 18 years. Almost half of my life in Konica Minolta. I'm suggested to graduate from my company Konica Minolta as of end of March, but still I keep involved in this industry and inkjet, in particular for print and textile. So remember me, I'm John Lennon. Thank you.
And now to you, Andrea Barbiani.
Good morning, I'm Andrea Barbiani, I'm the marketing manager of MS, and I'm also responsible for the business development or non-textile business internally of MS, because we are looking for different application, because as you know MS now is more or less 99% in textile business. I'm very young in this industry because I'm a history of strategic consultant, and so I have only 1 year experience in doing business, but I think I can improve my experience with all these kind of colleague. Thanks.
Thank you, Andrea. Christophe Juliana.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christophe Juliana. I am the marketing director of the inkjet business of Sensient. Sensient is a fairly large company active in food ingredients, flavors, fragrances, and colorants, specialty colorants, but there is a strong and growing inkjet business. We have been one of the major contributors to the development of sublimation, digital printing. We are now involved in pretty much all the aspects of textile inks after the acquisition of Xenia Limited last year, in reactive pigments and other technologies for textile, but also for industrial printing in general.
Okay, and our next guest is Gabriel.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Paola. My name is Gabriel Virto. I am a Spanish entrepreneur with 25 years experience in marketing in different areas of marketing. I am owner in Iruña Textile Communication. It It's a small company from Spain, and we focused to the t-shirt screen printing, and our main strategy is differentiation, like as a path to the customer.
Okay, so thank you everyone. And in the first part of our debate, we will try to give evidence to the elements of values of the digital transformation in the textile printing industry, and also to show how those elements are actually enabling the textile printers to keep up with the change in the market demand. So my first question is to you, Johan. Could you explain the audience how the market demand within the textile industry has been changing over the last few years? And in particular, you at Mimaki have been talking quite a lot about those concepts of fast fashion, super fast fashion, and more recently, fast home textile. So are those concepts more kind of marketing claims, if you want, or do they actually refer to a compelling production process that is enabled by digital printing?
Paola, this is not purely marketing. Of course, there's a big benefit in here. My colleague who does the marketing is very good in this and speaks a little bit longer than I do. But what we see and what we hear listening to the voice of the customers at the large textile shows that we had in the past and also today is that people are looking for, we're sitting in the low volume in mid-range segment, and that a lot of people are looking for solutions to get their production what they normally had coming from Asia side to European, so get it closer to home, shorter runs, but also on different types of textiles and different types of solutions for that. So yeah, that's the reason why Mimaki is developing new machines, new technologies with different types of inks to fulfill the demand that the market is asking for.
Mm-hmm. And Akiyoshi, so we have just heard about those needs coming from the market. How is digital printing technology enabling textile printers to maximize on those opportunities, so on the needs of the new needs coming from the market demands?
Okay. The word of digital textile printing is often makes some big confusion. There are big, two sectors. One is signage. One is pure textile printing for wares and apparels. So I'm talking about wares and apparels. It started maybe 20 years ago at the area of North Italy, Como in particular. So they modified Mimaki printers or Roland printers or Muto printers with their own belt conveyors systems to print on the fabric. At the initial stage, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, it was still very slow, and also the print volume per hour, per day is quite low. Now, after 20 years since the beginning, for example, my company, Konica Minolta, first printer was 5-6 square meter per hour. Now the latest one is 3,000 square meter per hour, 600 times. And price is maybe less than 20 times. So, okay, completely, the machine concept is step by step completely, now it's completely changed from the beginning. So people is always talking about the ink price because that is a decisive factor of the cost of the print. But if you think about the cost structure, the biggest element of conventional textile printing is labor cost, because dye stuff is quite low cost and invisible cost to make screen and wash the screen, set up the screen and store the screen and then wash up, clean, hose the machine and blah blah blah. So conventional industry is labor intensive, labor oriented, while digital is less labor oriented. For example, maybe 10 years ago, one Italian big company bought our machine. 10 of our latest machines at that time overnight. And they announced, hey, my company is going to digital, okay, from digital to the future. They made a big announcement on the newspaper. And what happens next day, the Lord Mayor of that town came to that company, please do not do it until my election next time, because the go digital means maybe cutting the labor cost. That will create another problem on this town. Don't do that. So, but I think that Lord Mayor has exactly hit the point. Digital, okay, there is a lot of good things, and even including some bad news. But the point, one of the biggest point, is that reducing labor cost and making more consistent print than ever. So I think this is the opportunity for the printing company. Sorry, the story a little bit long than you expected, but anyway, this is one of the points which I want to cover.
Okay, thank you. And Andrea, there is actually a big question in the industry, in the textile industry, which is digital printing complementary to conventional printing, or is it destined to kind of replace conventional printing? And I guess the question, Ron was also kind of talking about that. What do you expect to see from the market? Do you expect to see more of those textile printers who have already invested in digital printing, further increasing their digital capabilities in order maybe to penetrate those market segments that are still dominated by conventional printing? Or the scenario could be that brand new companies do set up new business models based on digital printing, or maybe conventional printers will invest in digital printing in order to expand their product portfolio.
Thanks. Considering that the digital printing penetration in textile is about 3-4%, I think that usually we see different scenario like you explained, you describe now, and even more. So we have example of, we have every day we have deals of discussion with customer that already well known the digital printing technology, they well known the flexibility, the capability, the potentiality of the digital printing, but they have not an industrial can say behavior, so they want to move to industrial machines, so they look for MS machine. In other case, we have a customer that are looking for bigger production, so bigger productivity with a low cost, just to replace the traditional printing. So they move to single pass machine, because now single pass machine has the capacity, also due to the reduction of the cost of the ink, to have not only a productivity but also a cost for square meter that is comparable and sometimes also lower than the digital printing, the traditional printing. Then we have also, as you explained, big brands or even big retailers that are looking for how to understand how to set up a new division, a digital division, to can say to be flexible and to produce and to present much more product on the market, because digital printing is very useful, where the time to market is very short, so is a critical aspect. And probably in the future, you talk about also a retailer. I think that due to the fact that the market is going to productivity, so and the cost is equal or even lower than traditional, and also the clean aspect is not an element that has to focus on. Probably also the big retailers in the future will go directly on the printing business.
Okay. So with Christophe, we are now moving on to another quite important part in the textile printing, which are the inks. And Ron was also talking about that earlier. So the question of inks is quite crucial to the debate on digital textile printing technology. So could you tell us what are the latest innovations that are enabling further enhancements in those areas of speed, quality, flexibility of the digital production process?
Thank you. Yes. First of all, there's probably a comment, and there are in several places we start to hear about that. For a long time, and still now in some aspects, ink is perceived or presented as the necessary evil from the side of the hardware manufacturers. That thing that makes my machine dirty. But actually, people start to realize that without the ink, there's no job that is printed. And the value of that part of the process starts to be seen more and more. And it has to be the case because at the end of the day, it's a key element that decides whether your result will look good, will feel good, and will have the right performance in all aspects, including the regulatory aspects. Inks have been able to, or have had to accommodate to the development of the printers for the past years and have always been able to cope with. There's three main directions of development of the inks. One is obviously the consistency, as Ono-san was mentioning. When you have such a machine, you want it to run, and by providing inks that are consistent, always exactly the same color and the same performance, you limit the number of interactions you have to do with your machine, like every day, either cleaning or recalibration and all those things, and you increase the productivity. There is, of course, the intrinsic performance of the ink. Whenever we manage to put more colorant into the same volume of ink, have higher concentration of the colorant, whether it's a pigment, whether it's a dye, we will improve the process. There are less drops that are required for that. There is less solvent, water, most of the time in textile application, to remove and to dry, so potentially the full process can be faster. And there is another area of development, which is in the functionality. We are trying to embed more and more functionalities in the ink in order to simplify the process. And typically, we are trying to make it possible to reduce or eliminate the requirement of a preparation of a textile. This is saving time and money. Whenever possible, to facilitate the post-treatment of the textile, limiting the amount of chemicals that are required there. We are really looking at the full process, and I cannot agree more with Ron before that we need to look at the full cost of the process of ownership of the materials at the end of the day, including all the cash flow that is embedded in having kilometers of printed textile that may not sell because the weather is not the right one or the tastes have changed in the meantime. So we try to put those things into the inks with more or less success, and everyone is trying to do that. And this is probably further areas of developments that we will see in that industry, in the performance.
Okay, thank you. And with our next guest, we are moving to the printer side and even to the end user side. Actually, having a strong background in textile-based communication, Iruña has entered what they call the sphere of collaborative customization with an innovative business models, which is called Suited for You, and that involves the customer in the textile production cycle. So my question to you, Gabriel, is if you could tell us how did the idea come up and how is it performing now, Suited for You?
Okay. Yes, Suited for You, it's a new concept that we have created 2 years ago in a big event in Barcelona. It's a large Nike event, and the idea is to elevate the customization to the experience. All brands looking for the experience, the connect with the customer, and our idea is not only print in our facilities, it's to put our small machines in the customer event, then they can to generate an unique experience for their customers. we analyze or study previously the event, the goals, the brand goals, the customer target, the budget, the event, the articles to can customize, and the volume of people and the time we can spend with each people, because we have the experience to print one-to-one to each people, and after that we choose the technologies we can put in this event, embroidery, laser, of course digital. In this case is direct to garment, normally in t-shirt, because we are looking for the wow effect. When the people smile, is amazing, and is 100% satisfaction with this connection with the brand. In this product, we have created. Finally, we provide, or we try to amplify the experience that we spend with few customers, and we need to amplify 1,000 of people through the social networking or media or marketing online. This is the concept suite for you. It's to put small machines with different technologies in different brand events, finding the brand experience.
Yeah, so it's customization and wow effect, which are the big topics of the moment. Okay, so in the first part of the debate, we have talked about the benefits of the digital technology, and in the second part, we will try to investigate the topic of sustainability, which is quite an important one, as Ron also was highlighting earlier. So as the world moves to become more environmentally friendly, there is an ongoing debate on the need to produce in a sustainable way in all industry. So I will now ask our panelists to actually comment on the benefit of digital printing technology from a sustainable point of view, and also on the economic advantages that this can bring to textile printers. So we can start with you, Johan.
Okay. Of course, with having in the low volume, in the mid volume, the economic sustainability is something what's really important for all of us. In the previous guest, what spoke in the presentation before us, sustainability was also a key factor in that. You see it everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody tries to do his best thing about it. The 100% solution is not there. What Mimaki is trying to do to shorten the runs, cut back in failure, and making sure that what is needed, what is requested by the market, is produced. So that's the point in position where Mimaki is helping on that one. Also on sustainability in looking at new ink types, looking at new solutions, reducing cost of water, environmental friendly. So that's the reason what Mimaki is doing at this moment, and that's where we're aiming for to fulfill that request that's out there, and that's where we're working on. Thank you.
Yeah, and with fast fashion, you also cut on the storage bit, which is quite important for the environment as well.
So really production on demand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Akiyoshi?
Digital inkjet printing, it is green or not green? I think the answer is clear. Hold the supply chain, okay, let's just say less waste, less dirty water. So everything you're targeting is clean, and to add the keyword. But printing, as we are involved in more or less in printing part, it's just one of the part of the long supply chain of the textile industry. That is starting from maybe cotton field to picking up the cotton and making the yarn, and then weave to make a fabric, and then print. After that, steam and maybe tenter machine, and still cut and sew and making garment. Just a part of the whole long supply chain. So now it is digitalized, but still the remaining part, steaming and the blah, blah, blahs, everything is not digitalized or stay as it is. So I think this is the first step, as Ron in this morning started. This is the first step of the whole making the all industry for the sustainability, taking one step forward from the printing side. But the remaining side is, okay, we also would like to encourage to harmonize this step toward the sustainability. Printing, yes, it is green. Inkjet printing, digital printing is green, but we have to involve all the industry to work together. This is my firm belief.
Okay. Thank you for that. Andrea?
Unfortunately, Ron has anticipated before speaking about our event, so I don't have anything to add. No, just to make a recap. So in 2015, we decided to make an event on the speaking about water. So we decided during ITMA to make an event on the Pirelli Tower, speaking of water consumption. We tried to introduce a new paradigm, industrial paradigm, is 190-10. So 3 numbers that explain how many water you use in traditional, the percentage of water you can save it with digital, and how many liters you can give back to the human being with the introduction of the single pass machine. So, we have invited a lot of big brands and big retailers because they are very sensible and they have, for example, Zara is very interesting, is focused their attention on this kind of cleaning technology. But as also Christophe explained about the ink, we are working on the entire finishing products with the dry chemicals. In fact, we are, for example, working on the pre-treatment in-line phase on the Lario machine, so reducing the water and so to have the possibility not only to reduce the cost of the pre-treatment phase, but also to reduce the chemicals and the water on the fabrics. So the waters in the future will not be not anymore the carrier of the chemicals, but will be an opportunity to to improve this technology on the market.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. To you, Christophe?
Yes, sustainability in general consists of looking at the resources, looking at the social responsibilities, whilst maintaining an economical interest, because otherwise none of us is moving. We have to face it. We're stupid humans, and if there's not any money at the end of the day, we will not do it. From a chemical point of view, obviously going from traditional to digital, you go from a spot color process where you have to wash your screens after every job and change them and put that rest of ink down the drain, to a 4-color or 8-color process where you use the same ink for every job. There is less ink that is used for a same job in general, the total quantity. So we are reducing the quantity of chemicals that are in circulation. As I mentioned before, we also try to favor or develop inks that favor technologies that will be dry and remove the necessity of washing. Ron has mentioned pigment. By definition, pigment you can print onto many different materials. You need a preparation that is applied without too much need of water and without too much drying. And after the process, you go in a dry fixation environment, be it a calendar or an oven. We've been working on technology to do the same with polyester, and this is one of the ways of removing the necessity of washing. What is also there is not only the water that is used, but that water is trapping a lot of chemicals, and this needs to be treated, and this is the costly part. This is where the savings are. So we put less chemicals in circulation. We try to have as high a quantity of those chemicals that are fixed onto the finished product and not brought into the drain waters and so on. And of course, we also pay a very high attention in having only chemicals into the ink formulation that are accepted and tolerated from a regulatory point of view, be it government regulations or, of course, trade regulations, Oecotex, and then all the different brand regulations which are limiting the number of chemicals for everyone's health, but also at the end for everyone's profit as well.
Thank you, Christophe. Gabriel?
I am in agree with my colleagues, and in our point of view, this is the correct way. We need to improve the measures to care the environment, and digital is a revolution in the economic benefits, but it's an important step in the environment care. In our case, the prepress process disappear, and this is important, is the first step, and the consumer desire and prefer the product that without this kind of inks, and prefer the products friendly with the environment. We are working with a lot of important brands who demand we use in screen printing free inks, and we are using, and in this case in digital is advanced, and all of the most important manufacturers, machines and inks using inks more green than the old systems, and it's good notice, good news.
Yeah, actually I was talking with a printer in the Como area, and he was actually saying that while digital printing has been the paradigm of the industry in the last 30 years, the next one will be environment. So I see printers, because also of the demand from their customers, are really trying to do their best to go green in their production site. So this is it for today. Maybe we have time for some questions from our audience.
Well, may I raise a question?
Okay. Okay.
Yes. I may have two questions. One is, for example, conventionally, my company, Konica Minolta, offers printers and inks and service in one window. While MS, Reggiani, a very good company, they are machine builder, and also ink, okay, it is up to your decision. You can buy whatever ink, buy from, okay, let us say, maybe Sensient, or Huntsman, or whomever, that ink can compatible to the printhead which MS or Reggiani is using. So it's a kind of open system. KM system, or maybe Robustelli system, is a kind of integrated system, or maybe closed system. So what do you think is the future? What do you think, which is the right strategy for the future? I'm asking to MS and maybe ink company.
Thank you very much. The strategy for Mimaki is, of course, because what is very important for us, and more important, I think, for you. If I'm wrong, please comment. Feel free. What is most important? We can build the most beautiful machines, we all as machine manufacturers. But what's the most important? That the machine works in your facility. So uptime of your machine and stability of the quality of the output, like we spoke in the presentation before here with the delta E of 2. If you want to reach that, that means that your resources needs to be stable as much as possible. So yeah, for Mimaki, of course, we're saying the Mimaki ink that we supply with the machine is making sure that we guarantee that you have a good constant quality and an efficient productivity. So that's what we aim for.
Regarding MS, the idea is of MS is to provide a solution to the customer. So the idea, for example, as you know, Dover has acquired some months ago JK Group. So now in the group we have also inks, but we decide to maintain the two companies completely separated. So, and because is the customer, so we want to provide a solution. So it's the customer that has to decide the machine and the ink. So if we are a good player, we are able to provide to the customer the right combination of the machine, the printing heads, and the inks. And so this is our idea. I don't know in the future, but actually for the next year, sure, the strategy of MS will be this one.
Okay.
That's a difficult one. No, historically, it's a very good question. Historically, we've been at the forefront of sublimation with some of our partners and competitors, of course. The approach was always to offer a solution. We have developed the inks, unfortunately, probably separately from the OEMs for historical reasons, because in the early days it was a niche and it was not very interesting. People were focusing on solvent and so. But the model has always been developed to make sure that whoever is buying a system with the ink can get the result they expect. And this is our leitmotif, and we are working a lot with OEMs, also with machine manufacturers or with end customers, to make sure that the full solution is available to them and they can make the right products in the right quantity and with the right profitability. In some cases, it is with a specific machine, sometimes with another one. There's that level of choice that some people like to have. At the end of the day, for everyone, make your choice, define what you need to produce, and get the best system all in all. We try to put as much functionality as we can. We want and need to have that co-validated or go together with the machine supplier, whatever the form at the end. And this is the first thing. Then whether it's open or closed is another question, but it's a collaborating thing to make sure that we make those solutions available on the market. This is our belief and main course of action today.
Thank you very much for enlightening us with all this information. Please give a round of applause for the people on the panel.